Hello, friends. If you're curious about the movie Real Steel, 2011, you're in the perfect place. Don't forget to give this video a quick like, it really helps us out. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to stay updated on all the latest movie deep dives. Let's jump right in. Set in the near future, Real Steel takes us into a world where human boxers have been replaced by towering, steel-clad robots in the ring. It's a film that blends pulse-pounding action with heartwarming emotion, making it more than just a movie about machines battling it out. At its core, this is a story about redemption, family, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his son. While the futuristic robot fights grab your attention, it's the deeply human story behind them that keeps you invested. Hugh Jackman stars as Charlie Kenton, a washed-up former boxer struggling to find his place in a world where human fights are a thing of the past. Once a promising fighter, Charlie is now just trying to make ends meet by controlling robot boxers in underground matches, but luck never seems to be on his side. He jumps from one bad bet to another, barely scraping by, until an unexpected event changes everything. His estranged son, Max, re-enters his life. Played by Dakota Goyo, Max is a sharp, determined, and tech-savvy kid who sees potential in a discarded robot named Atom. What follows is a high-stakes journey that takes them from dingy underground arenas to the bright lights of professional robot boxing. At first, Charlie sees Max as nothing more than an inconvenience, a reminder of past mistakes. But Max, armed with relentless optimism, believes that Atom, a seemingly outdated and weaker bot, could be their ticket to something greater. The dynamic between Charlie and Max is electric, filled with sharp humor, tension, and gradual trust-building. As they work together, training Atom for bigger and tougher fights, their bond grows stronger, pushing both of them to become something more than they ever imagined. The action sequences in Real Steel are nothing short of spectacular. Each fight scene is meticulously crafted, making every punch, dodge, and knockout feel real despite the metallic warriors in the ring. The filmmakers masterfully blend CGI with practical effects, creating robots that have weight, impact, and personality. Atom, though seemingly unremarkable at first, has a unique ability. He can mimic movements, allowing Max to teach him new techniques in a way that no other robot can. This opens up new possibilities in the ring, as Atom becomes more than just a machine. He becomes a symbol of resilience, defiance, and the underdog spirit. But what makes Real Steel truly special is its emotional depth. It's not just about winning fights, it's about fighting for something bigger, redemption, belief in oneself, and reconnecting with family. As Charlie and Max navigate their way through the brutal world of robot boxing, they face betrayal, crushing defeats, and moments of doubt. But through it all, they learn to trust each other, proving that sometimes the biggest victories happen outside the ring. And just when you think you know how the story will unfold, Real Steel throws in surprises that will keep you at the edge of your seat. A final showdown unlike any other, a heartfelt moment that redefines victory, and a journey that proves that being the best isn't always about the title. It's about heart. Stick around as we dive deeper into the themes, symbolism, and filmmaking magic behind Real Steel. Trust us, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Charlie Kenton was once a fighter. Not the kind who swung punches in back alleys, though he certainly wasn't above that when things got rough, but a real boxer, standing in the ring, hearing the roar of the crowd. But that was a long time ago. Now, in the year 2020, human boxing is nothing more than a nostalgic memory, a relic of the past. The world has moved on, trading flesh-and-blood fighters for towering high-tech robots designed to take brutal hits and dish out even worse. And Charlie? He's stuck in the shadow of his former glory, scrapping together a living by controlling battered, outdated bots in underground fights. As the film begins, Charlie is doing what he does best, making bad bets and getting himself into trouble. He's got Ambush, a rusted but sturdy robot, ready to take on a massive bull in a shady carnival fight. With a smirk and a confidence that's long outlived its usefulness, Charlie watches as his bot steps into the arena. The crowd cheers. The money is flowing. And for a brief moment, it looks like he might actually pull this off. Then, disaster strikes. Ambush, clunky and not nearly fast enough, gets wrecked. The bull tears through the robot like it's made of tin, and in the blink of an eye, Charlie's latest shot at success is nothing more than a heap of broken metal. To make matters worse, he owes money to the wrong people, and they are not the kind of men who forget debts easily. But before he can even think about how to dig himself out of his latest mess, life throws him an even bigger curveball, one he never saw coming.
Max.
Charlie hasn't seen his son in years, not since he walked away from his responsibilities and let Max's mother raise him alone. But now she's gone, and custody has to go somewhere. Charlie doesn't want it. He doesn't know how to be a father, and quite frankly, he doesn't care to learn. But then an opportunity presents itself. Deborah, Max's wealthy aunt, wants full custody. Charlie, ever the opportunist, strikes a secret deal with Deborah's husband. For a hefty sum of money, he agrees to sign over Max's custody, but with one catch: he has to keep the kid for the summer first. At first, neither of them is happy about it. Max, smart and sharp-tongued, sees right through Charlie's selfishness.
And Charlie?
He sees Max as nothing more than a temporary obligation, an inconvenience that will soon be someone else's problem. But Max is no ordinary kid. He's stubborn, resourceful, and obsessed with robot boxing. Unlike Charlie, who has been beaten down by life's disappointments, Max still believes in something. With Ambush destroyed and Charlie desperate for another shot at making money, he takes Max to a junkyard, hoping to scavenge for robot parts to build a new fighter. While Charlie is busy searching, Max stumbles upon something buried deep beneath the wreckage: a robot. Not just any robot, but an old, abandoned sparring bot named Atom. To anyone else, Atom looks like nothing. He's outdated, too small to be competitive, and lacks the brutal firepower that makes other bots successful. But Max sees something more. Where others see scrap metal, Max sees potential. He insists on taking Atom home, much to Charlie's frustration. But Max doesn't back down, and in a rare moment of surrender, Charlie lets the kid have his way. They begin working on Atom together, cleaning him up, fixing what they can. That's when Max discovers something unusual. Atom has a unique feature. A rare shadow function allows him to mimic the movements of whoever is in front of him. This isn't just a robot that can take commands. Atom can learn. Charlie, ever the skeptic, doesn't believe in Atom. He doesn't believe in much of anything anymore.
But Max
is determined to prove that Atom is more than just spare parts. So, against Charlie's better judgment, they enter him into an underground fight. It's a dingy, sweaty, high-stakes environment where only the strongest robots survive. Atom, with his outdated frame and seemingly unimpressive stats, is the clear underdog. The crowd laughs. The bookies don't even bother taking bets on him. Charlie expects failure. Max, on the other hand, expects a miracle. And then it happens. Atom wins. The fight isn't pretty, and it isn't easy, but Atom takes hit after hit and keeps getting back up. He's small, but he's fast. He's not the strongest, but he's smart. With Charlie's experience as a fighter and Max's unwavering belief, Atom does the impossible. He defeats a stronger opponent. Suddenly, everything changes. For the first time in years, Charlie feels something he hasn't felt in a long time: hope. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for him to climb out of the hole he's been living in. Max, beaming with excitement, wants more. He wants to take Atom to the big leagues, to prove that he's not just a fluke. Charlie, still cautious but unable to ignore the possibility of success, agrees to train Atom. They start small, taking fights wherever they can get them. And with each match, Atom gets better. Max programs him to learn from the best fighters. Charlie, slowly warming up to both the bot and his son, teaches Atom real boxing techniques: footwork, defense, counters. Atom doesn't just fight like a machine. He fights like a boxer. And with each victory, their bond grows stronger. But success brings new challenges. The underground fights were one thing, But stepping into the world of professional robot boxing is a whole different beast. Bigger robots, tougher opponents, higher stakes, and looming in the distance, the ultimate challenge. The undefeated champion, Zeus, a machine so powerful, so advanced, that no one has ever even come close to beating him. The road ahead is anything but easy. But for the first time in years, Charlie and Max are fighting for something real.
Something worth believing in. An atom.
He's just getting started. With every fight, Atom rises higher. What started as a desperate gamble, a last-ditch effort to make a few bucks, is quickly turning into something neither Charlie nor Max ever expected, a real shot at the big leagues. Atom isn't just surviving fights anymore. He's winning them. He's dodging, countering, learning. Under the bright lights of professional robot boxing, this underdog, this discarded machine found in a junkyard, is starting to make a name for himself. Charlie, once skeptical and detached, now finds himself in a role he thought he had left behind long ago. He's not just controlling a robot, he's coaching a fighter. He trains Atom like he would a real boxer, showing him movement, technique, strategy. He moves, and Atom follows. With Max's technological know-how and Charlie's experience in the ring, Atom begins to evolve, becoming a fighter that doesn't just rely on brute strength, but on skill, agility, and heart. And people are noticing. With every victory, the buzz around Atom grows. Fans start cheering his name. People love the underdog story, the little bot that could. But the excitement also brings new dangers. Rival trainers, gamblers, and powerful figures in the sport don't like disruptions.
An atom.
He's becoming a disruption.
Then comes the moment that changes everything.
The fight that gets them noticed by the biggest name in robot boxing, the owners of Zeus. Zeus isn't just any robot. He's a monster. Towering, fast, powerful. He's the undefeated world champion, controlled by the cold, calculating Takmashido. No bot has ever lasted a full round with Zeus. Every opponent crumbles under his devastating power, and now, after Atom's unexpected rise, the people behind Zeus are paying attention. They offer Charlie a deal. Back out. Take the money, walk away, and let Zeus remain unchallenged. It's tempting. After all, Atom isn't built for this level of competition. He's a sparring bot, designed to take hits, not to be a champion. And Zeus? He's a machine of destruction, designed with one purpose, obliteration. Charlie considers it. For most of his life, he's taken the easy way out. It's what he does. When things get tough, he runs. But Max refuses to let that happen. We fight, Max says. We go all the way. And something inside Charlie shifts. For once, he doesn't want to run. He doesn't want to take the money and disappear. He wants to fight. Not just for the championship, but for his son. For Atom. For himself. They accept the challenge. The arena for the title fight is unlike anything they've ever seen. Thousands of fans scream from the stands, bright lights illuminate the ring, and there, standing across from Atom, is Zeus, the undefeated champion, a towering, seemingly indestructible machine. The moment is massive, the stakes higher than ever. The fight begins, and instantly, Atom is in trouble. Zeus is too strong, too fast. Every punch shakes the arena. Every hit Atom takes sends him stumbling. Charlie and Max watch in horror as their bot gets battered, barely holding on. The crowd watches, expecting another easy win for Zeus. But Atom won't go down. Round after round, he keeps getting back up. He absorbs hit after hit, learning, adapting, surviving. The shadow function comes into play. Atom mimics Zeus's movements, analyzing them, countering them. He's not just taking punishment. He's learning how to fight back. And then, something incredible happens. Charlie, watching Atom struggle, realizes that the remote controls are failing. Atom's voice command functions are down. If he's going to survive, he needs something more. He needs a real fighter guiding him. So Charlie steps up. For the first time in years, he moves like the fighter he once was. He throws punches in the air, and Atom follows. Left hook, dodge, counter, footwork, combinations. Charlie isn't just controlling Atom, he's fighting through him. The bond between fighter and machine becomes something greater. The crowd sees it. Max sees it. Atom isn't just a robot anymore. He's the embodiment of everything Charlie lost and everything Max believed in. Atom starts landing hits. Zeus stumbles. The undefeated champion is struggling for the first time. The crowd erupts, chanting Atom's name. The final round is brutal. Zeus, desperate to maintain his dominance, unleashes a relentless assault. Atom is knocked down, again and again. But every time, he gets back up. He keeps fighting. Then the bell rings. The fight is over. It's left to the judges. Zeus is still standing, still the reigning champion. The title doesn't change hands. But in the eyes of the crowd, in the hearts of everyone watching, the real winner is Atom. The real fighter is Charlie. Max rushes into the ring, hugging his father, laughing, crying. For the first time in his life, he has a dad who didn't run, who stood his ground and fought for something that mattered. And in the official rankings, Atom is declared something no one ever thought possible. The people's champion. As the lights fade and the roar of the crowd echoes, Charlie and Max stand together, their journey not just about a fight, but about something bigger, redemption, belief, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his son. Charlie Kenton was a man who had spent years running from responsibility, from failure, from the past he could never quite shake. Once a promising boxer, he had watched his world shift overnight when human fighters were replaced by robots. Instead of adapting, he spiraled, one bad decision after another, drowning in debts and broken dreams. By the time we meet him, he's a shadow of the fighter he used to be, scraping by on underground fights and hustling for money in all the wrong places. But beneath the arrogance, the recklessness, and the constant pursuit of a quick payday, there's something deeper. A man who once had fire, who once had purpose, and who, despite his flaws, still knows the art of fighting better than anyone. He just doesn't believe in himself anymore. When Max enters his life, Charlie doesn't see a second chance. He sees a burden. He treats his son like a temporary inconvenience, something to be managed until he can hand him off and go back to his old ways. Yet, Max is different. Max doesn't back down. He doesn't just want a father. He wants this father, the fighter, the strategist, the man who still has greatness in him, even if he can't see it himself. Charlie's arc is one of the most compelling parts of Real Steel. He starts as a selfish, washed-up gambler, but as the story unfolds, cracks begin to appear in his hardened exterior. Slowly, begrudgingly, he lets Max in. It starts with small moments. Reluctant tolerance turns into curiosity, then pride. He watches as Max, full of belief and determination, brings Atom to life, and something inside him stirs. He starts coaching again, training the robot as if it were one of his own fighters, and with each battle, his connection to both Atom and Max deepens. But Charlie's real transformation comes in the final fight against Zeus. For the first time in years, he doesn't take the easy way out. When Atom's voice command systems fail, Charlie doesn't give up. He steps up. He doesn't just control the robot, he fights through him. In that moment, he reclaims the fighter he used to be. He throws every punch with the precision and instinct of a man who never truly lost his gift. He just needed something worth fighting for. And that, more than any victory or title, is what makes Charlie's story so powerful. He doesn't just win back his dignity, he wins back his son. Max Kenton is the heart of Real Steel. At just 11 years old, he's fearless, stubborn, and relentless in his belief that Atom is something special. Where others see a pile of scrap metal, Max sees potential. He's a kid who refuses to accept limits, who isn't afraid to stand up to his father, to gamblers, to professional fighters, or even to the world champion bot. He is, in every way, a fighter, just like Charlie, only he never lost his belief in himself. What makes Max's character so compelling is that he isn't just a passive observer. He's the driving force behind everything. If not for Max, Atom would still be buried in a junkyard, forgotten. If not for Max, Charlie would have taken the money and walked away. He is the spark that reignites Charlie's passion, the glue that holds their fragile relationship together. Even when Charlie pushes him away, even when he tries to sell Atom, Max never stops believing. And in doing so, he teaches his father something invaluable. That real strength isn't just about brute force, it's about resilience, about getting back up no matter how many times you fall. Atom may not have emotions or thoughts of his own, but he is, in many ways, a reflection of his creators. Designed as a sparring bot, Atom's entire existence is built around taking hits and standing back up. Unlike other robots that rely on brute force and advanced programming, Atom survives through adaptability and sheer durability. He isn't the strongest or the fastest, but he's got something no other bot has, the ability to learn, to mimic, to evolve. Symbolically, Atom represents both Charlie and Max. Like Charlie, he was cast aside, considered obsolete and unworthy of the big leagues. Like Max, he refuses to accept those limitations. He gets knocked down, but he always gets back up. His shadow function, the ability to mirror the movements of a human fighter, becomes the perfect metaphor for Charlie's journey. In the final fight, when Charlie steps in to guide Atom manually, it's not just a robot battle anymore. It's a man reclaiming his identity, proving that he still has the skill, the instinct, the heart of a fighter. Atom becomes the vessel through which Charlie redeems himself, and in the process, he becomes something more than just a machine. He becomes the people's champion. Bailey Towlett, played by Evangeline Lilly, is one of the few people who still sees potential in Charlie, even when he can't see it himself. She grew up watching her father train fighters, and she understands the sport better than most. She knows who Charlie used to be, and while she doesn't sugarcoat his flaws, she never fully gives up on him. Bailey provides a crucial emotional anchor in the film, reminding Charlie of his past, his talent, and what he's truly capable of. Then there's Tak Mashido, the mastermind behind Zeus, the reigning world champion of robot boxing. Cold, analytical, and dismissive of anything outside his meticulously crafted designs, Mashido represents everything Charlie and Max are fighting against. The belief that only power and technology matter, that heart and perseverance have no place in the ring. He sees Atom as nothing more than a joke, an anomaly that shouldn't exist in his world of perfect, engineered destruction. But by the end of the film, he is forced to acknowledge something he never anticipated. Heart does matter. And that is what makes Atom and the Gatins truly unstoppable. Every character in Real Steel serves a purpose, contributing to a story that is ultimately about redemption, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between father and son. It's not just about robots fighting. It's about people fighting for something real. The making of Real Steel was just as thrilling and unexpected as the story itself. From groundbreaking filmmaking techniques to bizarre behind-the-scenes moments, the journey to bringing robot boxing to life was filled with surprises. It wasn't just about CGI and visual effects. This movie had real metal, real fights, and some incredibly strange facts that most fans have never heard about. One of the biggest surprises? The robots in Real Steel weren't entirely CGI. While it would have been easy to animate everything, director Shawn Levy wanted the actors to interact with something tangible. So, they built actual animatronic robots for many scenes, including Atom. Legendary special effects artist John Rosengrant and his team at Legacy Effects, who had worked on films like Jurassic Park and Iron Man, crafted life-sized, fully functional animatronics. Each bot stood between 7 and 8 feet tall, operated by a mix of puppeteers and remote controls. Hugh Jackman, who played Charlie Kenton, loved this approach. Each bot stood between 7 and 8 feet tall, operated by a mix of puppeteers and remote controls. Hugh Jackman, who played Charlie Kenton, loved this approach. He admitted that acting alongside a physical robot made it much easier to connect emotionally with Adam. There were moments when he would instinctively reach out and touch Adam's head, as if the bot was truly alive. This level of realism gave the film a heart that pure CGI could never replicate. In fact, Steven Spielberg, who served as an executive producer, insisted on practical effects wherever possible because he believed that seeing the robots physically exist would make the performances more genuine. But while the animatronics were impressive, the fight sequences themselves were even more unique. The movie didn't just create boxing movements from scratch, it used a real-world boxing legend. Sugar Ray Leonard, a 5-time world champion and one of the greatest boxers in history, was brought in to choreograph the robot fights. He personally trained Hugh Jackman, teaching him how to move, how to throw punches, and how to bring the authenticity of boxing into a world dominated by machines. Leonard didn't just design the fights, he also performed in them. The motion capture technology used to animate Zeus, Adam, and the other robots relied on real fighters wearing motion capture suits. The punches, the footwork, the dodges, every movement was based on actual boxing techniques. Leonard himself put on the suit and fought as Adam, giving the robot a unique and precise fighting style that blended defense, strategy, and resilience. That's why Adam doesn't just swing wildly like a machine. He fights like a true boxer. But the production wasn't without its bizarre moments. One particularly strange accident happened on set involving Hugh Jackman. During filming, he was so engrossed in a scene where Charlie is coaching Adam that he didn't notice the massive animatronic bot moving unexpectedly. As he stepped back, he nearly tripped over one of Adam's feet, and for a split second, the crew thought they were about to witness their star get knocked out by a robot. Jackman laughed it off, but after that, the animatronic operators made sure to give him a little more space. Then there was Dakota Goyo, the young actor who played Max. His performance was one of the film's highlights, but what most people don't know is that he was a huge fan of boxing even before landing the role. While most kids his age were obsessed with video games, Goyo had already been studying old boxing matches, fascinated by the sport. This natural enthusiasm made his scenes with Adam feel even more genuine. When Max was watching fights or celebrating a victory, that excitement wasn't just acting. It was real. But Goyo's commitment to the role led to one of the funniest and weirdest moments during production. In the scene where Max dances with Adam before a fight, Goyo was so enthusiastic that he actually knocked over part of the set. The dance sequence was rehearsed multiple times, but during one take, he got so into it that he swung his arm too hard and hit a lighting rig. The whole thing wobbled, and for a split second, it looked like the set might collapse. The crew burst out laughing, and Goyo, completely unfazed, just grinned and said, "That means it was a good dance, right?" Of course, not all the unusual moments were planned. Some happened purely by accident, like the time a fight scene had to be completely res-hot because a real boxing match broke out on set. One of the stunt coordinators, a former amateur boxer, got into a heated argument with a motion capture performer over fight technique. What started as a debate turned into an actual sparring session, right in the middle of the soundstage. The director had to step in, and after things calmed down, everyone agreed it was one of the most unexpected fights in a movie about fighting robots. The film's visual effects team also faced an odd challenge when designing Zeus. The idea was that Zeus should be so intimidating, so dominant, that he seemed almost too perfect. But early versions of the character actually made him too powerful. In some initial test animations, Zeus was able to dodge every single punch Adam threw, without ever getting hit. The problem? It made him boring. The audience needed to believe that Zeus could be beaten, even if it seemed impossible. So, the animators had to dial back his perfection, adding just a slight delay to his movements, just enough hesitation to make Adam's eventual comeback feel believable. And speaking of Zeus, one of the strangest facts about his design is that he was partially inspired by a tank. The visual effects team studied military tanks to understand how to make Zeus move like a machine of destruction, rather than just a humanoid robot. His weight distribution, the way his body absorbed impact, and even his towering presence were all modeled after the way real tanks operate in battle. Even the film's sound design had its own weird secrets. The noises made by the robots weren't just random mechanical sounds. They were created using real-world objects. The clanking of gears came from old washing machines, the heavy stomps were recorded from construction equipment, and Zeus's punches? Those were made by smashing bowling balls into metal sheets. And finally, one of the strangest and most heartwarming details about Real Steel is what happened to the animatronic Atom after filming Wrapped. Normally, movie props are either destroyed, stored, or auctioned off, but Atom was different. Hugh Jackman had grown so attached to the robot that he actually kept it. To this day, the life-sized Atom animatronic sits in Jackman's personal collection, a reminder of one of the most unique and unexpectedly emotional films of his career. From real boxing legends to dancing mishaps, tank-inspired designs to actual fight breakouts, the making of Real Steel was every bit as intense and unpredictable as the film itself. It wasn't just a movie about fighting robots. It was a story built on passion, creativity, and a few incredibly strange surprises. The journey of Real Steel isn't just about giant robots fighting in a ring. It's a story packed with layers of emotion, redemption, and the struggle to prove oneself in a world that seems determined to knock you down. From a critical perspective, the film does something rare in the realm of action-heavy, effects-driven blockbusters. It balances spectacle with genuine heart. Each major event in the story isn't just about moving the plot forward. It serves a deeper purpose, shaping the characters, their relationships, and ultimately, the film's overall impact. One of the earliest pivotal moments is Charlie Kenton's introduction. From the start, we see a man who has lost his way, chasing quick money instead of real success. His opening fight isn't just an action sequence. It establishes who Charlie is at this point in his life. His robot, Ambush, isn't prepared, isn't trained, and Charlie himself isn't paying attention. He's treating the sport the same way he treats his life, like a reckless gamble rather than something to be respected. His loss to the bull isn't just a failure. It's a humiliating moment that sets the tone for his arc. Critically, this is where the film makes a statement. Charlie isn't a traditional hero. He isn't immediately likable. In many ways, he's selfish, careless, and unwilling to take responsibility. It's a bold choice for a protagonist in a family-friendly action film, but it makes his eventual redemption all the more satisfying. Then comes Max. The moment Charlie is forced to take care of his son isn't just a plot device, it's a turning point. From a critical perspective, the film takes a classic storytelling approach, pairing a flawed protagonist with an idealistic, unwavering force of hope. Max isn't just a kid tagging along. He represents everything Charlie has forgotten: determination, belief, and the refusal to back down. Their interactions in the early parts of the movie are tense, filled with sarcastic remarks and dismissive attitudes. But there's something else underneath it all, a connection waiting to be rebuilt. The discovery of Atom in the junkyard is one of the most crucial and symbolic events in the movie. On the surface, it's just a lucky find, a beat-up robot that Max refuses to leave behind. But looking at it from a deeper perspective, Atom is more than a machine. He's a mirror of both Charlie and Max. Atom is discarded, forgotten, considered obsolete in a world that has moved on. Just like Charlie. Just like how Max sees himself in Charlie's eyes. This is where the film begins to subtly shift. Max believes in Atom. He doesn't care that the robot was built for sparring, not real fights. He doesn't care that the odds are against them. He sees something in Atom that no one else does, and in doing so, he forces Charlie to start looking at things differently. Atom's first underground fight is one of the film's most exciting moments, but beyond the action, it represents something even bigger. This is where Charlie starts paying attention. He goes from reluctant bystander to engaged strategist. He stops treating the situation as just another scheme and starts thinking like a real trainer again. He coaches Atom, starts analyzing the fights, and in doing so, he unknowingly starts teaching Max about what it means to be a real fighter. Critically, this moment is key because it marks the first time Charlie is investing in something outside of himself. He sees potential, not just in Atom, but in Max's belief. It's not about the money anymore. It's about the thrill of the fight, the challenge, and the possibility of something greater. As Atom rises through the ranks, the film carefully builds tension not just in the fights, but in Charlie and Max's relationship. There's a moment after one of Atom's victories where Max, full of joy, reaches for his dad's hand, and Charlie pulls away. It's a tiny, almost fleeting moment, but it speaks volumes. Charlie still doesn't fully believe in himself as a father. He's afraid to connect, afraid to hope. This internal struggle is what makes Real Steel more than just another sports movie. The film never lets Charlie's redemption come too easily. Even as Atom keeps winning, Charlie's flaws don't disappear overnight. He still makes mistakes. He still sells out. When he takes the money to walk away from Atom's chance at greatness, it's a devastating moment. Not just because of the fight he's throwing away, but because of what it means for Max. It's the ultimate betrayal, proof that Charlie is still, deep down, afraid to take a real risk. But Max doesn't give up. And this is where the emotional core of the film truly hits. When Charlie returns and finally commits to the fight, it's not just about Atom anymore. It's about proving to himself, and to Max, that he can be better. That he can stand and fight, instead of running. The final showdown against Zeus isn't just the climax of the story. It's the culmination of everything the film has been building toward. From a critical perspective, the fight is brilliant in its execution. Zeus, the unbeatable champion, represents the cold, corporate-controlled version of the sport. He is precision, power, and pure dominance. He is everything Atom, and by extension Charlie, was told he could never beat. The way the fight unfolds isn't just entertaining, it's deeply meaningful. Atom doesn't win through brute strength. He wins through endurance, strategy, and heart. But the real moment of transformation comes when Atom's voice command system fails. This is where Charlie steps in, not as a gambler, not as a hustler, but as a fighter. When he starts shadowboxing, directing Atom's movements manually, it's the moment he finally embraces who he truly is. He's no longer just watching from the sidelines. He's in the fight. And for the first time, he's fighting for something bigger than himself. The final scene, where Atom is declared the people's champion, is one of the most emotionally resonant moments in the film. Even though Zeus technically wins by decision, the victory belongs to Atom, to Max, and most importantly, to Charlie. The crowd's roaring approval isn't just about Atom's performance. It's about what he represents. The underdog. The fighter who refuses to stay down. The impossible dream that somehow, against all odds, became real. And that's what makes Real Steel so powerful. It's not just about giant robots battling for a title. It's about perseverance. About redemption. About a father and son learning to believe in each other, and in themselves. The film may not have been a massive awards contender, but its impact was undeniable. Audiences connected with its themes of resilience and second chances. The raw emotion of the final fight, combined with the spectacular visuals, left a lasting impression on viewers. Critics were divided, some praising its heart and energy, others dismissing it as formulaic. But the truth is, Real Steel isn't just a sci-fi sports movie. It's a story about what it means to fight for something. Years after its release, the film continues to resonate, with discussions of a sequel and its growing status as a cult favorite. The legacy of Real Steel isn't just in the fights or the effects, it's in the way it made people feel. The way it reminded audiences that sometimes the most important victories aren't about winning a championship, but about proving to yourself that you were never really down for the count. The making of Real Steel was an ambitious undertaking, blending cutting-edge visual effects with real-world robotics, all while telling an emotional father-son story wrapped in the high-energy world of robot boxing. While the final product delivered an unforgettable cinematic experience, the process of bringing it to life was filled with incredible challenges, unexpected moments, and a few fun surprises that even the most dedicated fans might not know. One of the most fascinating aspects of Real Steel was its use of actual animatronic robots. While many assumed that the movie was created entirely with CGI, director Shawn Levy and his team made the bold choice to combine digital effects with practical animatronics. This decision wasn't just about aesthetics, it was about grounding the performances in something real. The production team partnered with Legacy Effects, a company renowned for their work on films like Jurassic Park and Iron Man, to build life-sized, fully articulated robot models. These weren't just statues. They could move, their eyes could glow, and in some cases, they could even mimic slight human gestures. Hugh Jackman, who played Charlie Kenton, was one of the biggest supporters of this practical effects approach. He loved being able to physically interact with the robots, rather than just imagining them in front of a green screen. Jackman would often talk to Atom as if the robot was a real character, and this translated beautifully on screen. In fact, one of the animatronic puppeteers later mentioned that Hugh sometimes forgot Atom wasn't real and would instinctively pat him on the back after takes, as if he were a living, breathing co-star. But even though practical effects played a big role, motion capture was still essential for the actual fight sequences. And that's where one of the most legendary names in boxing history came in, Sugar Ray Leonard. The filmmakers knew that the key to making the robot fights feel authentic was basing them on real boxing techniques, so they brought in the 5-time world champion to help choreograph the fights. Not only did he provide consulting, but he actually put on a motion capture suit himself to perform some of Atom's movements. Sugar Ray worked directly with Jackman as well, coaching him on how to move like a real trainer. Jackman had to learn the subtle body language of a boxer, the way a fighter observes an opponent, the slight shift in weight before throwing a punch, the way a coach communicates instructions in the middle of a fight. The details had to feel authentic, and Leonard made sure they did. But while the boxing choreography was carefully planned, there were still some unexpected moments. One of the funniest accidents on set happened when Jackman got a little too into character while coaching Atom during a scene. In a moment of excitement, he lunged forward, only to accidentally trip over one of the animatronic robot's feet. The massive, lifelike robot didn't move, of course, but Jackman went stumbling forward, much to the amusement of the crew. He later joked that it was the closest he had come to actually losing a fight on set. Another unexpected challenge came from Dakota Goyo, the young actor who played Max. Despite his age, Goyo was already an incredibly professional actor, but he had one unexpected trait. He loved boxing. During breaks, he would often shadowbox or pretend to be a real fighter, mimicking the moves he had seen Sugar Ray Leonard teach the stunt performers. One day, in between takes, he got so into practicing a move that he accidentally punched a camera rig. The sound of the impact was so loud that, for a moment, the crew thought something important had broken. Luckily, neither the camera nor Dakota was hurt, and everyone laughed it off, though they did tell him to save his punches for the robots. Filming the robot fights also required a unique blend of practical and digital techniques. Because the robots were supposed to be massive, the actors had to interact with stand-in props, sometimes just empty space, sometimes a crew member holding a pole with a tennis ball at the top to indicate where a robot's head would be. But to help make the fights feel more real, Levy would often have stunt performers act out the robots' movements live on set. This meant that during fight scenes, the actors weren't just reacting to nothing. They were watching actual punches being thrown, which made their reactions much more believable. Another cool trick the filmmakers used was real-time rendering. Normally, when a movie has a lot of CGI elements, actors have to wait until months after filming to see how everything looks. But Real Steel used an innovative system that allowed the crew to see rough versions of the robots immediately on monitors while filming. This helped the actors visualize what was happening and allowed Levy to make adjustments in the moment. But the technology behind the robots wasn't the only impressive thing about the film's production. The set design also played a huge role in bringing the world of Real Steel to life. The filmmakers didn't just want to create futuristic locations, they wanted the world to feel lived in. That's why many of the film's arenas and underground fighting locations were actually real locations, modified just enough to look like a near-future version of today's world. For example, the underground robot fight where Atom first proves himself? That was filmed in an actual abandoned warehouse, which the production team transformed into a gritty, neon-lit battle pit. The rust, the grime, the flickering lights, none of that was added in post-production. It was all part of the real environment, which gave the scene an extra layer of authenticity. But perhaps one of the strangest production stories comes from the final fight between Atom and Zeus. This scene was one of the most complex sequences in the film, requiring a mix of practical effects, motion capture, and digital animation. The stakes were high, not just for the characters, but for the crew, who had spent months planning every single shot. During one take, just as Zeus was supposed to land a devastating punch on Atom, something unexpected happened. The animatronic Atom refused to fall. The scene had been carefully choreographed so that the robot would collapse at the right moment, but for some reason, the puppet's mechanisms locked up, making it look like Atom was literally refusing to go down. The crew ended up loving the moment so much that they worked elements of it into the final edit, reinforcing the idea that Atom just wouldn't quit, no matter how strong the opponent. Even after production wrapped, Real Steel continued to have a lasting impact. The animatronic Atom became such a beloved figure that Hugh Jackman took him home. To this day, he has the life-sized Atom in his personal collection, keeping the spirit of the film alive. The film also sparked ongoing discussions about a potential sequel. For years, fans have been eager to see where the story could go next, and even director Shawn Levy has hinted at the possibility of revisiting the world of robot boxing. Though no official sequel has been confirmed, the love for Real Steel has only grown over time, proving that the film's heart, action, and innovative filmmaking left a lasting impression. From the groundbreaking blend of practical and digital effects to the unexpected on-set moments, Real Steel wasn't just a movie, it was an experience. The effort and creativity that went into its making ensured that it became more than just another sci-fi sports film. It became a story of perseverance, of underdogs rising against the odds, and of the sheer magic that can happen when a team of passionate filmmakers comes together to create something special. The world of Real Steel isn't just a backdrop, it's an essential part of the film's identity. From the neon-lit underground fight clubs to the grand arenas where metal giants clash, every setting in the movie serves a purpose, shaping the story's tone and reinforcing its themes. The film's futuristic yet grounded world-building makes it stand out, blending gritty realism with high-tech spectacle. Each location, each visual choice, and every lighting decision help bring this near-future version of America to life in a way that feels tangible and immersive. One of the most striking aspects of Real Steel is how it envisions the future. Unlike many science fiction films that present a sleek utopian world full of flying cars and towering skyscrapers, Real Steel offers a version of the future that looks worn in, a world that has evolved but still feels familiar. The film takes place in 2020, a near future at the time of its release, but instead of overwhelming audiences with extreme technological advancements, it presents a believable progression of modern-day society. The cities, roads, and landscapes feel like places we recognize, but with one major difference. Robot boxing has taken over as the dominant sport. This grounded approach makes the movie's central concept, the rise of robotic fighters, more believable. The film doesn't try to explain every scientific detail of how these robots work or how the sport came to be. Instead, it drops the audience into a world where robot boxing is just the way things are. The settings reinforce this idea, giving us glimpses of a society that has moved forward while still carrying the weight of its past. Take, for example, the rundown locations where Charlie Kenton starts his journey. The film opens in rural Texas, where Charlie is seen hauling his old robot, Ambush, from one low-stakes fight to another. These early settings establish who Charlie is, a man scraping by, barely holding on to his career, making bets in dusty backroads and carnival rings. The contrast between these locations and the high-tech arenas we see later in the film underscores Charlie's underdog status. He isn't a part of the glamorous world of top-tier robot boxing. He's a hustler, moving through the fringes of a sport that has long since left him behind. One of the film's most memorable locations is the underground fight club where Atom first proves himself. This setting is a masterclass in visual storytelling. Unlike the bright, flashy arenas of professional robot boxing, the underground club is raw, dark, and almost dystopian. Flickering neon lights, graffiti-covered walls, and a crowd that's packed shoulder to shoulder create a sense of lawlessness and desperation. This isn't a place for polished champions. It's a battleground for those who have nowhere else to go. Atom's first victory here is symbolic. He isn't just winning a fight, he's clawing his way out of obscurity. The way the film moves between these different settings mirrors the progression of Charlie and Max's journey. As Atom rises through the ranks, the environments around them shift. We move from back-alley fights to more legitimate venues, each one bigger and more impressive than the last. By the time they reach the World Robot Boxing Championship, the setting has completely transformed. The grand arena, with its towering digital screens and roaring crowds, represents the peak of the sport, a place Charlie once belonged to and now has a chance to reclaim. But while the film's settings play a crucial role, it's the cinematography that truly brings them to life. Real Steel is a visually dynamic film, and every shot is carefully crafted to enhance the mood and emotions of the scene. One of the most effective techniques used throughout the movie is low-angle cinematography. This technique is especially prominent in fight scenes, where the camera often sits below the robots, making them appear even larger and more imposing. By doing this, the film emphasizes their sheer size and power, immersing the audience in the intensity of the battles. The lighting choices in Real Steel also play a key role in shaping its atmosphere. The underground fight club is bathed in deep reds and blues, creating a sense of danger and excitement. In contrast, the championship arena is lit with stark whites and golds, reinforcing the grandeur of the sport's highest stage. These shifts in color and lighting aren't just aesthetic choices. They subtly influence how the audience feels about each location, whether it's a place of struggle or triumph. One of the most visually stunning moments in the film happens when Max and Charlie discover Atom in the junkyard. The scene takes place at night, with rain pouring down as Max stumbles upon the buried robot. The lighting here is moody, almost eerie, with flashes of lightning illuminating Atom's outline. This moment feels almost mythical, as if Max has unearthed a long-lost warrior. The use of darkness and light creates an immediate sense of intrigue, making Atom's introduction one of the most memorable moments in the film. Another brilliant use of cinematography can be seen in the training sequences. When Charlie starts coaching Atom, the film employs quick, kinetic editing and fluid camera movements to capture the energy of the training montages. These sequences aren't just about robots learning to fight. They're about Charlie rediscovering his passion, about Max proving that his belief in Atom isn't misplaced. The dynamic camera work reflects this shift, making these scenes feel fast-paced and exhilarating. But perhaps the most emotionally charged use of cinematography comes during the final fight against Zeus. The filmmakers make a conscious choice to switch perspectives throughout the fight, sometimes showing the battle from Atom's point of view, sometimes from Max's, and sometimes from the roaring crowd. This constant shift in perspective creates a sense of participation, as if the audience is right there, experiencing every punch, every near defeat, every moment of triumph. And then there's the shadowboxing moment. This scene is a masterpiece of visual storytelling. As Atom's voice command system fails, Charlie is forced to step in, controlling him manually through shadowboxing. The camera shifts focus, moving away from the high-tech screens and instead locking onto Charlie himself. This moment isn't about the technology. It's about him. The lighting dims around him, isolating Charlie as he moves with precision, every punch carrying the weight of his redemption. The camera follows his every motion, making it clear that this is his moment, his return to the fight in the end. The way Real Steel uses its setting and cinematic elements elevates it beyond just another sports movie. Every choice, from the grungy underground fight clubs to the high-stakes arenas, from the lighting in Atom's discovery to the dynamic camera work in the final battle, serves a greater purpose. These elements don't just make the movie visually striking. They reinforce the story's themes of perseverance, redemption, and belief. The world of Real Steel is one where underdogs can rise, where forgotten warriors can reclaim their glory, and where even the most broken people can find their way back into the fight. The film's settings and cinematic choices don't just create a backdrop for the action. They tell the story, making every victory feel earned, every setback feel crushing, and every moment feel real. The making of Real Steel was as much of a battle behind the scenes as it was in the film's high-octane robot boxing matches. Bringing a world of steel giants to life required a blend of cutting-edge technology, raw human emotion, and an on-set energy that kept the cast and crew pushing forward through every challenge. From unexpected on-set moments to the camaraderie between Hugh Jackman and his co-stars, the behind-the-scenes journey of this film was filled with surprises, laughter, and more than a few battle scars. One of the most impressive behind-the-scenes triumphs came in the final fight sequence. The battle between Adam and Zeus was one of the most complex scenes in the movie, requiring a mix of practical effects, motion capture, and digital animation. The team spent months planning every shot, ensuring that every punch, every block, and every reaction felt real. During one take, something unexpected happened. One of the animatronic robots malfunctioned, causing Adam to remain standing when he was supposed to fall. This created a surreal moment where it actually looked like Adam refused to go down, just like in the movie's story. The crew ended up loving this little accident so much that they tweaked the final edit to keep the moment in. Despite all the challenges, Real Steel became a film that was truly beloved by its cast and crew. The bond between Hugh Jackman and Dakota Goyo mirrored the father-son dynamic of the movie, and their off-screen friendship made their on-screen relationship all the more believable. Even after filming wrapped, Jackman spoke fondly about Goyo, calling him one of the most talented young actors I've ever worked with. The impact of Real Steel extended far beyond the set. The combination of practical effects and motion capture set a new standard for sci-fi action films, proving that digital effects could be enhanced by real-world interaction. The film's themes of resilience and redemption resonated with audiences worldwide, making it more than just an action movie. It became a story of heart, determination, and believing in the impossible. And, of course, Real Steel left one lasting legacy that few people know about. Hugh Jackman kept the full-sized Atom model. To this day, Atom sits in Jackman's personal collection, a reminder of the film's journey, the challenges they overcame, and the unforgettable experience of bringing the world of Real Steel to life. At its core, Real Steel isn't just about giant robots punching each other for sport. It's a film that explores themes of redemption, father-son relationships, and the power of belief. These are universal ideas that transcend the film's high-tech setting, allowing it to resonate deeply with audiences who might otherwise dismiss it as a simple sci-fi action movie. Through the journey of Charlie Kenton, his estranged son Max, and their relationship with Adam, the film navigates through emotional depth and character-driven moments that give weight to the spectacle of robot boxing. The robots themselves are not just mechanical creations. They represent the struggle of every character to find their place in the world and the strength to keep fighting, no matter the odds. One of the most prominent themes in Real Steel is the idea of redemption. Charlie Kenton, played by Hugh Jackman, starts the movie as a washed-up ex-boxer who's far removed from the glory days of his sport. He's a hustler, bouncing from one low-stakes robot fight to the next, trying to make ends meet while avoiding any real emotional commitments. But through his journey with Max, his estranged son, and their bond with Adam, Charlie is forced to confront his past and the choices he's made. His redemption arc is shaped by his growing sense of responsibility and the realization that there's more to life than just personal glory. Charlie's relationship with his son, Max, is strained from the outset. Charlie is selfish and reckless, while Max is a quiet, intelligent boy who has been left behind by his father time and time again. Max's longing for a father figure is evident, and the tension between the two is palpable. As the two are thrown together in the world of robot boxing, it's clear that Charlie's path to redemption will not just be about fighting for victory, but also about earning his son's trust and love. Max, on the other hand, is looking for something his father can't initially give him: faith. Charlie starts out the film as a man who's lost his belief in anything, especially himself. But as Max starts to believe in Adam, the robot, and encourages Charlie to do the same, he challenges his father's cynicism. Max's belief becomes a powerful force that drives the narrative forward. The theme of belief ties back to the central idea of redemption. If you don't believe in yourself or in the potential of others, you're unlikely to experience true growth or change. Throughout the film, Adam serves as a symbol of this transformation. Atom is not the most powerful or the fastest robot in the ring. He's a discarded model, a relic of the past. But his potential lies in his heart, or more specifically, in his ability to learn and grow. Much like Charlie and Max, Atom is the ultimate underdog, and his rise through the ranks of robot boxing mirrors Charlie's own emotional and personal journey. Atom is constantly being told that he's too old, too broken, or too slow to compete, but through sheer will and the bond he forms with Max and Charlie, he starts winning. This transformation from an outdated piece of junk to a legitimate contender symbolizes the idea that even those who are discarded or forgotten still have value, potential, and a chance for greatness. The theme of fatherhood is another key pillar in Real Steel. The film's emotional heart beats through Charlie and Max's evolving relationship. Max, desperate for his father's approval, clings to the hope that Charlie will change. He has no illusions about who his father is. Charlie is selfish and unreliable, but Max believes in the possibility that his father can become something more. For Charlie, the idea of being a father is one that he doesn't quite know how to navigate. He was never a responsible man, and being thrust into the role of guardian for Max feels like a burden rather than a blessing at first. However, through their shared experiences with Atom, the father-son bond grows. As Max teaches Charlie how to train Atom, Charlie learns the importance of patience, empathy, and perseverance, values he never fully embraced in his past. One of the key moments that reflects this growth is when Charlie teaches Max how to believe in something beyond what is visible, when he tells him that sometimes you have to feel the fight, rather than simply analyze it. This advice echoes back to Charlie's own journey of learning to believe in himself again. As the film progresses, Charlie begins to realize that being a father isn't about winning fights or making money. It's about being present, about showing up for his son, and about giving him the tools to believe in his own potential. Max's growth as a character parallels Charlie's. At first, Max is a loner, skeptical, and quiet. He only speaks when necessary, hiding his emotions behind a cool demeanor. But as he and Charlie work together to train Atom, Max begins to open up. He grows not just as a fighter but as a person. His relationship with Atom and his belief in the robot's potential act as catalysts for change in his relationship with Charlie. Max's belief in Atom is unshakable, even when things seem bleak. Through Max's unwavering faith in the robot, Charlie learns how to believe again. In turn, Max starts to trust his father, realizing that Charlie can be dependable when it matters most. The film also touches on the theme of obsolescence. Throughout the story, we see characters and robots alike struggling with the fear of being left behind or rendered irrelevant. Charlie represents the human fear of being obsolete. His boxing career ended years ago, and now he's trying to find a way to stay in a world that doesn't seem to want him anymore. The rise of robot boxing as a mainstream sport serves as a reflection of this idea. Charlie's battle isn't just about winning money or titles. It's about finding a way to fit into a world that has moved on from him. Atom, as a robot, also embodies the theme of obsolescence. He's an old model, discarded in a junkyard and forgotten by most people. But Atom's journey reflects a powerful message. Just because something or someone is old doesn't mean it's useless. Atom's redemption, much like Charlie's, is rooted in the belief that every discarded thing still has potential. The film doesn't just ask the audience to root for Atom because he's a fighter. It asks them to root for him because he represents the idea that the past isn't something to be ashamed of. It's something that can be built upon, repurposed, and given new life. The symbolism in Real Steel plays a huge role in enhancing the emotional depth of the story. The central symbol, the robot, works on multiple levels. On one hand, it's a tool, a machine designed for battle. On the other hand, it's a vessel for emotional connection, a character that mirrors the internal struggles of the human characters. The relationship between the humans and the robots reflects the relationship between humans themselves. Just as Charlie and Max struggle to connect, they must also find a way to communicate and bond with Atom, whose only form of communication is through his movements and his fight strategies. Atom's ability to learn becomes a metaphor for the way people can grow and evolve when they're given the right guidance, support, and belief. The final fight against Zeus is another key moment where all of these themes converge. It's not just about the victory in the ring. It's about Charlie's personal triumph and Max's belief in him. As the father and son stand together, cheering Atom on, we see a culmination of everything they've learned about each other and about themselves. The film suggests that the real victory isn't the trophy or the recognition. It's the journey itself, the bonds formed, and the belief that, no matter how broken or beaten down you may feel, there's always a chance to rise again. When we talk about the success of Real Steel, it's impossible not to mention the incredible cast that brought this thrilling, emotional story to life. Every actor brought a level of dedication and depth that elevated the film beyond just a futuristic robot boxing flick. Hugh Jackman's portrayal of Charlie Kenton, the down-and-out ex-boxer, is nothing short of magnetic. Jackman, known for his versatility and charisma, took on a character that was rugged, flawed, and, at times, unsympathetic, but as the story progressed, the audience could see a man rediscovering his purpose and, more importantly, his humanity. The role required a blend of physicality and emotional depth, and Jackman delivered on both fronts. In interviews surrounding the movie, Jackman mentioned how crucial it was for him to dive deep into the emotional journey of Charlie. At first glance, Charlie might seem like a character solely focused on getting by, whether it's hustling through small robot fights or trying to avoid emotional attachments. But Jackman saw Charlie as a man who had been beaten down by life and had given up on his chance for redemption. The relationship with his estranged son, Max, was what really piqued Jackman's interest. The actor spoke about the father-son dynamic as being a central part of his motivation for taking on the role. It wasn't just about punching robots, it was about seeing a man grow emotionally, become a better person, and reconnect with his child. The chemistry between Jackman and the young Dakota Goyo, who played Max Kenton, was a pivotal element in making Real Steel so emotionally impactful. Goyo's portrayal of Max was as complex as it was heartfelt. At first, Max is a smart, slightly cynical young boy, hardened by the abandonment he experienced at the hands of his father. But as the film unfolds, Max's vulnerability emerges, and we see him become the emotional heart of the story, especially through his relationship with Atom, the robot they bring back to life. Goyo spoke in interviews about how much he connected with the idea of Max not giving up, even when things were difficult. He also noted that working with Jackman was an incredible experience. Jackman's mentorship on and off set helped him bring a real depth to the role. The dynamic between Jackman and Goyo as father and son was pivotal not only to the emotional weight of the story but also in shaping the movie's tone. While the movie could easily have been reduced to action-heavy sequences of robots fighting, the emotional anchor that both Jackman and Goyo provided ensured that the audience stayed invested in the film's deeper narrative. Their bond gave the high-energy robot battles purpose. Goyo later commented in an interview about how he learned from Jackman's approach to acting, noting Jackman's ability to juggle humor with intensity, something that made their on-screen relationship feel both realistic and heartwarming. Another key figure in the cast was Evangeline Lilly, who portrayed Bailey Towlett, Charlie's love interest and a former boxer's daughter. Though her role was more secondary compared to Charlie and Max, Bailey played a crucial part in providing emotional support and grounding Charlie throughout his journey. In interviews, Lilly shared that her role was especially meaningful because Bailey wasn't just there to serve as a romantic interest, she was a catalyst for Charlie's growth. Bailey, much like Max, believed in Charlie's potential even when he didn't believe in himself. Lilly mentioned how important it was to her to not just be a typical love interest but to be a strong, supportive character who could help Charlie change. In an interview, Lilly noted how she appreciated the film's exploration of redemption, which mirrored her own belief in second chances. She also spoke fondly of her time on set, particularly her interactions with Hugh Jackman, calling him a true professional who brought a sense of camaraderie to the cast. The robot performances, though they didn't involve traditional human actors, were also incredibly important in shaping the film. The animatronic and CGI work on Atom, the movie's central robot, was a true testament to the talents of the special effects and animation teams. Legacy Effects, the same team behind the visuals of Iron Man and Avatar, worked tirelessly to ensure that Atom was not just a machine but a character in his own right. They used a combination of motion capture and animatronics to bring the robot to life, allowing Atom to express emotions through subtle mechanical movements, particularly in his interactions with Max. While the robot wasn't a human actor, it became an essential part of the film's emotional core. In interviews, the creative team spoke about how they made Atom's movement feel more human, even though he was entirely mechanical. They were particularly focused on making sure that the audience could feel his personality. His learning process and his desire to win were tangible, even if his face was made of metal. Audience reviews were overwhelmingly positive, with many viewers praising the emotional depth of the characters. It wasn't just the robot fights that made the film exciting. It was the story of a broken man learning to care, a father finding his way back to his son. One common sentiment in the reviews was how much people were surprised by the emotional pull of the story. Many viewers went into Real Steel expecting a fast-paced action flick, but left feeling moved by the human element of the film. Charlie's journey from a self-centered, down-and-out ex-boxer to a loving father who redeems himself was something that many viewers connected with deeply. It wasn't just about winning in the ring, it was about overcoming personal struggles and building meaningful relationships. The relationship between Charlie and Max received particular attention from audiences. One reviewer mentioned that the dynamic between Jackman and Goyo created a father-son bond that felt real, raw, and deeply touching. It wasn't just a typical distant dad learns to love his kid narrative. Instead, Real Steel explored the complexities of a fractured family, showing the difficulties in rebuilding trust and connection. The film didn't offer easy answers to these emotional struggles, and viewers appreciated that honesty. The robot boxing itself, while undeniably exciting and well executed, also garnered praise for its seamless integration with the film's emotional themes. A number of reviews noted how the robots were not just tools for action but also symbolic of the characters' journeys. The movie's main robot, Atom, was praised for being a surprisingly sympathetic character. One reviewer mentioned how Atom's growth throughout the film mirrored Charlie's own journey of personal development, and how it served as a vehicle for the larger theme of redemption. "It's not just about the robots," one viewer said, "it's about what they represent." Another aspect of Real Steel that stood out to audiences was its visual appeal. The robot battles were a spectacle, and the CGI, when combined with the practical effects of the robots, created an immersive experience that brought the futuristic world to life. The sequences were dynamic and engaging, with fast-paced editing that heightened the intensity of each fight. However, what many viewers noted was that the movie didn't rely solely on action to captivate the audience. The human drama was woven into the fabric of the story in a way that kept viewers emotionally invested. It wasn't just the robots they were rooting for, it was the characters, too. On the flip side, some reviews mentioned that the film could have delved deeper into its futuristic world and the mechanics behind robot boxing. While the movie introduced the concept of robot fighting as a major sport, it didn't fully explore the societal or technological ramifications of such a sport. Some felt that the world-building could have been more fleshed out. However, these critiques were relatively minor in comparison to the overwhelming praise the movie received for its storytelling and emotional depth. The ending of the film, in which Atom faces off against Zeus in a final battle, was another aspect that left a lasting impression on audiences. The climactic fight, paired with Danny Elfman's stirring score, encapsulated everything the film had been building toward: hope, redemption, and the bond between father and son. In many ways, the fight between Atom and Zeus was symbolic of Charlie's struggle to reclaim his life and his relationship with Max. It wasn't just about defeating a competitor, it was about fighting for a future worth living for. For many viewers, this final moment was the emotional payoff that tied together everything they had been invested in throughout the film. Overall, the cast's performances, combined with the stunning visual effects, heartfelt story, and deep emotional resonance, made Real Steel an unexpected hit with audiences. It was a film that not only showcased thrilling action but also offered a heartfelt message about second chances, the power of belief, and the importance of family. From the standout performances of Jackman and Goyo to the heart-stopping robot battles, Real Steel succeeded in creating a cinematic experience that had something for everyone, and, ultimately, found its place in the hearts of audiences around the world. As we wrap up this deep dive into Real Steel, 2011, it's clear that the film succeeded in more ways than one. From its heart-pounding robot fights to the emotional journey of its characters, this film created a compelling blend of action, drama, and futuristic spectacle that resonated with audiences across the globe. It's easy to see why Real Steel became such a beloved film. It wasn't just about the robots. It was about the people they fought for. Throughout this journey, we've explored the many layers that made Real Steel so special. At its core, it's a story of redemption. The film tells the story of Charlie Kenton, a washed-up former boxer trying to make a living in a world where robot boxing has taken over. His character arc, portrayed by Hugh Jackman, is one of the emotional highlights of the film. He's a man who's lost everything: his career, his relationship with his son, his sense of purpose. But through his journey with Max and their robot Adam, he rediscovers what it means to fight for something bigger than himself. What's powerful about this narrative is how the stakes aren't just about winning a fight. They're about regaining the trust of his son and reconnecting with the person he once was. This father-son relationship is the emotional heart of the film, and it's what gives the robot battles so much meaning. Every punch thrown by Adam, every battle won, is symbolic of Charlie's personal growth and redemption. We also dove into the fantastic cast and their contributions to the film's success. Hugh Jackman, Dakota Goyo, and Evangeline Lilly all brought their characters to life with such depth and authenticity that it's impossible not to get emotionally invested in their arcs. Jackman, in particular, shone as Charlie, balancing the rough exterior of a man who's made mistakes with the vulnerability of someone seeking redemption. Goyo's performance as Max, the boy who grows from bitter cynicism to belief in both his father and their robot, was also a standout. Their chemistry together formed the emotional backbone of the film, and it's easy to see why viewers were moved by their performances. In addition to the human cast, the robots themselves were stars in their own right. While the film's action-heavy sequences could have relied solely on CGI, the filmmakers chose to use a combination of practical effects and motion capture to create the robots. This gave them a tangible presence that made them feel real and relatable, even though they were made of metal and wires. The team behind the robots, including the special effects and animation crews, did a fantastic job in bringing Adam, Zeus, and the other fighters to life. Their movements were fluid, their personalities came through, and they became more than just machines. In many ways, Adam's growth mirrored Charlie's, and it's this dynamic that made the robot battles not just exciting but deeply meaningful. One of the most striking aspects of Real Steel is how it envisions the future. Unlike many science fiction films that present a sleek utopian world full of flying cars and towering skyscrapers, Real Steel offers a version of the future that looks worn in, a world that has evolved but still feels familiar. The film takes place in 2020, a near future at the time of its release, but instead of overwhelming audiences with extreme technological advancements, it presents a believable progression of modern-day society. The cities, roads, and landscapes feel like places we recognize, but with one major difference: robot boxing has taken over as the dominant sport. This grounded approach makes the movie's central concept, the rise of robotic fighters, more believable. The film doesn't try to explain every scientific detail of how these robots work or how the sport came to be. Instead, it drops the audience into a world where robot boxing is just the way things are. The settings reinforce this idea, giving us glimpses of a society that has moved forward while still carrying the weight of its past. Take, for example, the rundown locations where Charlie Kenton starts his journey. The film opens in rural Texas, where Charlie is seen hauling his old robot, Ambush, from one low-stakes fight to another. These early settings establish who Charlie is, a man scraping by, barely holding on to his career, making bets in dusty backroads and carnival rings. The contrast between these locations and the high-tech arenas we see later in the film underscores Charlie's underdog status. He isn't a part of the glamorous world of top-tier robot boxing. He's a hustler, moving through the fringes of a sport that has long since left him behind. One of the film's most memorable locations is the underground fight club where Adam first proves himself. This setting is a masterclass in visual storytelling. Unlike the bright, flashy arenas of professional robot boxing, the underground club is raw, dark, and almost dystopian. Flickering neon lights, graffiti-covered walls, and a crowd that's packed shoulder to shoulder create a sense of lawlessness and desperation. This isn't a place for polished champions. It's a battleground for those who have nowhere else to go. Atom's first victory here is symbolic. He isn't just winning a fight, he's clawing his way out of obscurity. The way the film moves between these different settings mirrors the progression of Charlie and Max's journey. As Atom rises through the ranks, the environments around them shift. We move from back-alley fights to more legitimate venues, each one bigger and more impressive than the last. By the time they reach the World Robot Boxing Championship, the setting has completely transformed. The grand arena, with its towering digital screens and roaring crowds, represents the peak of the sport, a place Charlie once belonged to and now has a chance to reclaim. But while the film's settings play a crucial role, it's the cinematography that truly brings them to life. Real Steel is a visually dynamic film, and every shot is carefully crafted to enhance the mood and emotions of the scene. One of the most effective techniques used throughout the movie is low-angle cinematography. This technique is especially prominent in fight scenes, where the camera often sits below the robots, making them appear even larger and more imposing. By doing this, the film emphasizes their sheer size and power, immersing the audience in the intensity of the battles. The lighting choices in Real Steel also play a key role in shaping its atmosphere. The underground fight club is bathed in deep reds and blues, creating a sense of danger and excitement. In contrast, the championship arena is lit with stark whites and golds, reinforcing the grandeur of the sport's highest stage. These shifts in color and lighting aren't just aesthetic choices. They subtly influence how the audience feels about each location, whether it's a place of struggle or triumph. One of the most visually stunning moments in the film happens when Max and Charlie discover Atom in the junkyard. The scene takes place at night, with rain pouring down as Max stumbles upon the buried robot. The lighting here is moody, almost eerie, with flashes of lightning illuminating Atom's outline. This moment feels almost mythical, as if Max has unearthed a long-lost warrior. The use of darkness and light creates an immediate sense of intrigue, making Atom's introduction one of the most memorable moments in the film. Another brilliant use of cinematography can be seen in the training sequences. When Charlie starts coaching Atom, the film employs quick, kinetic editing and fluid camera movements to capture the energy of the training montages. These sequences aren't just about robots learning to fight. They're about Charlie rediscovering his passion, about Max proving that his belief in Atom isn't misplaced. The dynamic camera work reflects this shift, making these scenes feel fast-paced and exhilarating. But perhaps the most emotionally charged use of cinematography comes during the final fight against Zeus. The filmmakers make a conscious choice to switch perspectives throughout the fight, sometimes showing the battle from Atom's point of view, sometimes from Max's, and sometimes from the roaring crowd. This constant shift in perspective creates a sense of participation, as if the audience is right there, experiencing every punch, every near defeat, every moment of triumph. And then there's the shadowboxing moment. This scene is a masterpiece of visual storytelling. As Atom's voice command system fails, Charlie is forced to step in, controlling him manually through shadowboxing. The camera shifts focus, moving away from the high-tech screens and instead locking onto Charlie himself. This moment isn't about the technology. It's about him. The lighting dims around him, isolating Charlie as he moves with precision, every punch carrying the weight of his redemption. The camera follows his every motion, making it clear that this is his moment, his return to the fight in the end. The way Real Steel uses its setting and cinematic elements elevates it beyond just another sports movie. Every choice, from the grungy underground fight clubs to the high-stakes arenas, from the lighting in Atom's discovery to the dynamic camera work in the final battle, serves a greater purpose. These elements don't just make the movie visually striking. They reinforce the story's themes of perseverance, redemption, and belief. The world of Real Steel is one where underdogs can rise, where forgotten warriors can reclaim their glory, and where even the most broken people can find their way back into the fight. The film's settings and cinematic choices don't just create a backdrop for the action. They tell the story, making every victory feel earned, every setback feel crushing, and every moment feel real. The making of Real Steel was as much of a battle behind the scenes as it was in the film's high-octane robot boxing matches. Bringing a world of steel giants to life required a blend of cutting-edge technology, raw human emotion, and an on-set energy that kept the cast and crew pushing forward through every challenge. From unexpected on-set moments to the camaraderie between Hugh Jackman and his co-stars, the behind-the-scenes journey of this film was filled with surprises, laughter, and more than a few battle scars. Beyond the characters and robots, the movie's filmmaking techniques were also essential in shaping its atmosphere. From the visual effects and animatronics that brought the robots to life to the careful camera work that captured the emotional moments between Charlie and Max, every technical element served to enhance the story. The film's lighting shifted as the characters evolved, moving from dark and moody to bright and hopeful as Charlie's journey unfolded. The score, composed by Danny Elfman, added another layer of emotional depth, elevating the film's highs and lows in all the right ways. Every punch in the robot battles was amplified by the sound design, making the fights feel visceral and real. The pacing, editing, and cinematography all worked together to ensure that the film was an engaging ride from start to finish, mixing action with heart in a way that captivated audiences. Of course, we also explored the critical reception of Real Steel and how it was received by audiences. At first glance, many might have expected the film to be a simple action spectacle, but its deeper emotional core surprised many viewers. Audiences connected with the characters, especially the father-son dynamic between Charlie and Max. The robot fights were exciting, sure, but it was the relationships between the characters that gave the film its lasting impact. It was a film about second chances, about not giving up even when life gets tough, and about finding hope when it seems impossible. Viewers were drawn to the film's themes of redemption and growth, and it's no wonder that Real Steel became a box office success, grossing over $300 million worldwide. It's also worth noting the surprising facts and behind-the-scenes stories that made the production of Real Steel so interesting. From the development of the robots to the challenges faced on set, the production team worked tirelessly to create a world where both the emotional and action elements felt authentic and real. There were moments of tension, surprising occurrences, and creative solutions that helped bring the film to life, and those stories only add to the charm of the film. Looking back, it's evident that Real Steel is much more than just a movie about robot fights. It's a story about redemption, growth, and the power of belief. It's a film that has something for everyone: action, heart, and unforgettable characters. Whether you're watching for the thrilling battles in the ring or the emotional arcs of the characters, Real Steel offers a cinematic experience that leaves an impact long after the credits roll. As we bring this analysis to a close, there's one thing that's clear. Real Steel succeeded in making an impact, both with audiences and critics alike. It was a surprising hit that not only delivered on the promise of high-energy robot boxing, but also touched hearts with its human drama. It's a film that's worth revisiting, not just for its action but for the emotional depth that it explores. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Real Steel and want more movie analysis, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue to explore the stories behind your favorite films. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay updated on all our latest content. We've got plenty more movie breakdowns, analysis, and fun facts coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of cinema.